They are not making any money anymore, so they can't pay their tithes. They will go out of business naturally.
So if they're asking God to intervene on their behalf, then there will be less power.
That's the problem.
God will answer the question and will answer the prayer.
No, God doesn't answer that kind of prayer because the cost of self-generation is too high. For me as an individual, before I became Minister of Power and moved to Abuja, I was spending close to 300,000 naira every month for electricity because of diesel. The cost of diesel alone was that much, about 3.6 million in a year. Now, that's for one family. But I've been in Abuja for some months now. 100,000 naira I paid for power, and I get 21, 22 hours power supply. It has lasted for 3 months. So for 35,000 naira, I'm getting much more power than diesel was giving me for nearly 10 times the cost. So we're not even paying for electricity. I believe government is, over-subsidizing. People like me and people like you should not have electricity subsidized for us. It is the poor who cannot afford that should have electricity subsidized for them. For what I'm paying and for the power I'm receiving now, I believe it's not right at all. It's not morally correct.
Are you advocating by any chance or stretch of imagination for increase in tariff for
No, I'm not saying so.
electricity?
If the companies are making enough money and covering their cost and so on, glory be to God. Yeah, but if they are not, and if it's going to put some burden on the government, then we better all get together and sit down. This is what we want to pay to make sure that we continue to get uninterrupted power supply.
And talking about government then, the question will be that what is the role of government? After this PHCN has been unbundled and sold to everyone, what is government still got to do with it? Is there anything that this government has got to do with it?
A lot.
Like what?
Government will prevent the organized private sector from ripping off Nigerians.
How?
By making sure that the regulating body only allows tariffs that will be comfortable, affordable, and realistic. That's number one.
The same way that NCC regulates telecoms.
Yes, but even better here because we've learned from the mistakes of NCC. We are growing by the day. Second, government is going to continue to formulate policies. Like we have no renewable energy policy in Nigeria. We have no electricity or power or energy conservation policy in Nigeria. We are working on that to make sure that this is in place. 35 to 40% of all power consumption in Nigeria is by electric bulbs. Can you imagine if we can use energy-saving bulbs? We will free up as much as 1,500 megawatts for industries to take off. So we need such policies. Government will continue. Government will continue to build hydros and then concession to the private sector. And government will continue to encourage the invitation and attraction of private investors to come to the power sector and invest.
Yeah, we understand that in some areas, in certain cities, that some people do not pay for electricity at all. It is their God-given right because they are citizens of Nigeria. So government should take up that burden on their behalf. Now, such areas in Lagos are central Lagos. We have heard that hardly anybody, apart from the businesses in the business district, that hardly anyone pays for power in those areas. Now, what are these discos going to do about such neighborhoods when they actually take over supply of power?
Well, they will do exactly what the private sector did when they come to education. Government refuses to charge responsible fees in university education. Private sector started universities that are charging 10, 20, 30, 40, 50 times what the government is charging. And people are begging to enter some of these universities that are private universities. You need these private people. They will go for their money. They will go for their money, whatever it takes. When they knock you out of power for a few weeks, make sure that you are so uncomfortable. You come to the negotiation table. So don't even worry about private people. They know how to grab their money. They will make sure everybody is metered, and with your metering, it is pay as you go. If you don't pay, you don't get any electricity. So I think it's going to be very easy for the private people to do it, where government did not have the, the courage and the political will to enforce that.
Okay, so in terms of putting the enabling environment in, though, what is government's plan for that? And what is, for you as Minister of Power, enabling environment?
Well, the critical thing is to give Nigerians uninterrupted power supply. Government is guarding and guiding the ship that is going to that destination. The ship is now being operated mostly by the private sector. But remember that the lifeline is still substantially government with regard to transmission. Government is going to ensure that there is no shipwreck on that journey. And that is to make sure that legal framework, economic framework, regulatory framework, and attractive overall environment is created to ensure that all these private companies do well. See what the telecoms industry is doing in Nigeria today. They are smiling all the way to the bank. Some of them make as much profit in 1 or 2 months as the whole cost of their investment. Today, I believe the power sector will transcend the gains of the telecoms industry. And because I know that, and everybody knows, Mr. President knows, that there will be no industrial revolution in Nigeria and no economic revolution without a power sector revolution. That's why we have the roadmap. That's why he launched the roadmap. That's why he's guiding and driving this, operating this ship as the quintessential captain of the ship. And Mr. President also wants to make sure that this ship arrives there safely and intact. And so the government is going to do whatever it takes to make sure that all the things that need to be done are done for the organized private sector to thrive. Because it is when they are thriving and paying taxes, believe it or not, the taxes these companies will eventually pay when they start paying will be so much more than what the telecoms industry is paying to the government today.
Some Nigerians are just sending some questions, and they were asking that we should ask you that the Geregu power production company owned by Amperian and Forte Oil, they're saying that they paid 127 billion to the government to own Geregu. And Nigerians are saying million dollars, $127 million to own Geregu. And we've got 4 of them, not to mention the distribution company. Maybe it may be wrong to multiply that by whatever number that is, but it's a lump sum, it's a big sum of money. What is your ministry doing with it if it is being paid to you? And if it is not being paid to you, if it is put in the national coffers, how is that going to translate to creating that enabling environment that will make them thrive?
Well, I'm sorry to tell you that, unfortunately, that money is not being paid to my ministry, nor to me. One thing is this is the cost, the political will of this president that Nigeria has. No other president would have done it. Virtually all of that money is going to settle Nebo. Virtually all of it. Virtually all of it.
To settle labor.
To settle labor. In other words, the government really has to do this because it is like you're sick, you go to the hospital, you dread needles, but the doctor knows the injection must be administered for you to survive. And the doctor gives you injection. What President Jonathan has done is give Nigeria that injection that we need to survive. If he didn't do this, there will be no privatization. The labor was so organized.